Hey guys, well, Sunday morning, back at the unit again. As you can see, following the disappointment of the LED flashes not working properly, I've decided to move on from that. I'll have to order another relay because that one didn't work properly. I've not rewired them, left them wired up as the LEDs. They do work, but they flash too quickly. So today we're going to concentrate on getting the tune sorted out. First thing to do there is get the fuel pressure correct. So I've rigged up the fuel pump so that it's on a little switch, so I don't have to keep turning the ignition on and off, and I can leave the fuel pump running. The Mega Squirt will only let the fuel pump run for a couple of seconds until the engine starts. If the engine doesn't start, it shuts the fuel pump off. So obviously that's no good for setting the pressure. So that's the plan. First of all, get it up in the air, get the wheel off to access the fuel pressure regulator, stick a gauge on it, get the fuel pump running, set the pressure. Okay, here's the fuel pressure regulator. It's mounted under the back wing. You can see there we've got the fuel rail for the injectors on this side, rocker cover, exhaust, inner wing, just so you get a bearing of where we're up to. There's the brake disc, there's the rear suspension, there's the fuel pressure regulator. Need to drop it off this little bracket first so that I can get access to the port for the gauge. It's actually on top there. So I need to drop it down a little bit, put the gauge in, then we can get the pressure set. Right, this is going to be fun. I'm holding the camera with my left hand. I'll try and undo that 8mm nut there. Here we go. This might not work. There we go, that's got that free. I'll have to stop filming while I put the gauge on and come back to you in a minute. Right, got the gauge on, got the pump running. We're looking for 43 psi and it's actually pretty much there. It's about 44. Okay, I'm happy with that, so we'll nip all that up and get it on the road. Right, there we are, all back together again. Blanking plug back in the top there, because it's not a good idea to leave a gauge in when the engine's running for any length of time anyway. They can burst and then spray high pressure fuel all over the engine bay, which is generally regarded as a bad thing. Right, wheel back on and then we can go to the test track. Right, here we are at our top secret test facility, which is very definitely not an industrial estate near where I live. The car's on the trailer, you need to get it off, get it started, get the laptop connected to it and go for a drive round, log what's happening and see what we need to do. Right, laptop's on and connected up, turn the ignition on and the laptop will connect to the car and then tell it that there's a slight difference between the tune on the laptop and the one on the car because I've altered it offline. Alright, let's just say now, do I want to accept the Tuner Studio settings or the car settings? We will accept Tuner Studio. Right, should be good to go. Ignition's on. Contact. Right, go for a drive round, do a data log, and see what's happening. Well, that was exciting. I've done a few laps of the test facility here. The car's been tuning itself on the laptop, running really well, pulling strong, AFRs looked great, really strong on boost, pulling really well. And then I went up a short stretch of motorway where there's a roundabout at the top, come back down the side, going around the roundabout, car filled with smoke. So I pulled over to the hard shoulder as quickly as I could, grabbed the fire extinguisher, jumped out and had a look around the back. Once I calmed down a little bit, I realised that the smoke was actually steam. What's happened is the radiator puke tank has overflowed. Don't know why it's done that though, perhaps it's got a bit too much coolant in it or something. So anyway, let it cool down, managed to drive it back, but that's enough excitement for one day. I'm going to stick it on the trailer and take it back home. There we are, there's the evidence, it's coolant everywhere. All over the engine, all over the inside of the deck lid. But it's on top of the engine and I think it's come out of the puke tank there. Don't know why it would have done that though. Perhaps it's just a bit overfilled. Get it back to the unit, have a good look at it and find out. Okay, just back outside the unit now. Before I unload the car, let's have a quick recap of today's events, see what I've learned from it. Okay, got to the test facility. I nearly said industrial estate then, the test facility. Got the car off the trailer, got the laptop connected up to it, copied the tune over that I'd changed a little bit offline rather. Loaded it up, started fine, seemed to have fixed the warm start issue that was a big problem before. Car pulsed strongly, the AFRs were a bit wrong, so did a data log, and Megalog, the software, actually analyses the data log and tunes the car for you. I did that. And then a bit of juggling around with fuel tables and so on to get the right one, but it was much worse. It was pulling okay, it was driving fine, but the AFRs on the gauge were very rich, in the 10s when it should have been more like 13 or 14. So, and you could smell it as well through the exhaust. So obviously that was wrong. Back to the starting point, reloaded the original map, which I knew was wrong, but it wasn't as wrong, and then Tuner Studio, the other software, has an auto-tune facility so that it tunes as you drive. I've had varied success with that in the past. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't, but it's worth a try. Everything's backed up anyway, so if it doesn't work properly, I can just revert back to how it was. So I went for a drive round, started tuning itself, and the car was running really well, pulling strongly. Every time I looked at the AFR gauge, it was where I would have expected it to be. Pulling hard on boost, right up to the red line in every gear, sounding smooth, sounding great. There's a short stretch of motorway, about a third of a mile long perhaps, with the roundabout at the end, then about a third of a mile back down again to the start of the industrial estate. Went up there a couple of times, you know, full boost, changing gear, fine, pulling strong, pulling hard. Last time round the roundabout, and the car filled with what I now know as steam, but I thought it was smoke. In that split second of blind panic, grabbed the fire extinguisher, jumped out, let it cool down, and it was the expansion tank on the cooling systems overflowed. Need to find out why, but that's all that happened. Obviously the coolant's got on the hot engine, hot exhaust, and turned immediately to steam. Let it cool down, drove it back to where the car and the trailer were parked, absolutely fine. Loaded it on the trailer, and came back here. So one of the things I've learned really from today is that I didn't film any of the driving round. You know, if I'm going to do this YouTube thing, I should be filming stuff all the time. I didn't do it because I thought nobody wants to see me just driving around an estate. But you never know what's going to happen. So cameras will be on next time. Okay, thanks for watching. If you like what you're seeing here, please subscribe, please comment, and please give it a thumbs up. Thanks.